Well, we're back at the drawing board. This is a cross section through the side of the shaper, so that's the carriage showing the T-bolt slots. That's the base of the shaper showing its T-bar slots, and then that's the cross section through the box showing the bore that have opened out, and the you can just see the shoulders. So what I've got to basically do is come up with a design that will connect that now to the carriage with a height adjustable support for the foot, bearing in mind that it's going to go up and down and in and out along this foot. Not much else to say at the moment. I can't get a measurement on how thick the casting is because there's all sorts of other stuff, like there's a T-slot runs along the top of here, and I know that there's access, there's clearance for the clamp bolt which clamps all the way through to the front edge. So I've just etched them in. So I'll bring you back when we got a bit further on. Well, I've not really progressed a great deal. A lot of head scratching going on. The long and the short of it is, my concerns are, by the time I've added in the plate here, from the back of that to the front of that is the top surface, and it comes out at near as damn it 14.5 inches, which is the full extent of the stroke of the shaper. Which means then I can't resurface the whole lot in one go. I'd have to take the plate out, shove that up, surface it, and then put the plate in. No huge issue. The next thing is, that's the end view of the box with the rebate at the rear showing, or the hole at the rear showing, and then you can just see the line showing the actual rebate. These are the 4 holes which show they have a tie rod all the way through, which I want to make provision for in the existing plate. It comes all the way through here, picks up on these T-slots. So my thoughts were to try and keep those available. At the moment they're made in one piece, so that the T-nut is part of the tie bar. So I'm going to reverse that and make T-nuts and then a bolt that goes through, or 4 bolts. That means when it's not in its rotated position, the box will be held clamped against this plate, against the existing carriage. I've got a piece of EN8 ground plate, which was actually a bolster plate off a press tool that never got used. I bought. It's a bit big, but with a bit of jiggery pokery I should be able to cut it down. That's 28mm thick, which is why I've left that gap there. The plan is to make, and I've only drawn it very faintly, but one round disc, which would be 3/4 of an inch thick, and turned so it's a really snug fit without being a press fit into the rebate on the arse end of the box. And then a slightly larger plate which has got a 10mm overlap will be made. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to make that as an annulus with a hole out, but then that will clamp onto the plug, and it, for all intents and purposes, with a rebate in the back of it and a couple of mil. So as these retaining cap heads, which will be M8, as they're tightened down, it will clamp the box via this edge to this plate. What I'm probably going to do is make the holes in the plug through holes, so that those M8 cap heads actually go through and clamp into this piece of plate, ground plate, which would be decent quality steel, and it's 28mm thick as opposed to 3/4 of an inch. My mind's turning to how the hell I get this thing to set it up, because what I don't want to do is end up with the plug mounted on the plate, mounted on this, and then the box be either too high or too low when it's in its horizontal position. So I need to get my head around the sequence for setting the thing up, which would, as well, I'm thinking at the moment, is the mounting plate would be on here, fixed, so that's got to pick up on the existing T-slot somewhere. And then ideally I want to be able to set a couple of adjustable pins or keyways in there, so once the top of that is flush with the top of this, I can lock those keys in position and then it will go back in repeatable. Then I want to mount the plug so that I can then put the box into it, put in the tie rods, get the top of the box lined up with the top of the carriage, then tighten up the plug in situ, and then do something like a pair of taper pins or roll pin or something which will locate the plug to this back plate so it's repeatable, because the plug is fixed and it's the box which is rotating on it. Once that's done, it should be a fairly simple job of then the clamping plate fitting over the plug and the bolt and the screws going right the way through. Obviously I can't do much until I've got that plug mounted and in position. The only question that remains then is, do I make facility on the plug to be able to adjust its position in the event that this plate shifts, or do I just rely on basically getting that plate in and lined up with a set of keys? If you can remember, on the existing back of the box, I've not drawn it, but there is in fact a cast-in keyway in this position. The hole's right up close to it. Yeah, I've eaten about half a loaf cake and about 4 gallons of tea to get my head around all that lot. So we're calling it cake and tea aided design. Soon to be followed by cake and tea aided manufacturing. I'm going to put this video up because I would very much appreciate anybody's thoughts on this. There's quite a lot of work involved. I'm going to put the sequences up where I've actually bored these recesses out, because without those having some kind of location on it, the whole thing was a waste of time. So you can sit and watch that, and then yeah, please have another look, and any comments, stick them in the comments below. That's why I do these videos, because I'm making it up as I go along, and multiple brains are better than one, especially when it's half working like mine. So I thought I'd take a look at the workbox. So this would be the front face sitting on the back face. That's the top two sides, and that's the bottom where the support foot goes. That's a rough cast aperture. It's measuring 161 to 162 mil diameter. That's the good end. This end measures out 165. Whether you can see the nastiness around there. Anyway, what I want to do at the moment, there is no facility to rotate the box when it's in on the shaper. This is a cast-in or machined-in keyway, so it's part of all the same casting. So in order for me to actually make the box rotate, that's got to be machined off. And before I mount this thing, what I was looking at doing was basically boring out that diameter to a nominal size, whatever it might be, just so it cleans up, and then also facing the inside face of it by, I can get about, get me the ruler, so we can get it's best part of ½ inch. There you go. Yeah, we get somewhere about a quarter to ½ an inch, maybe 3/8 of a rebate cleaned up on the face. Then I can come up with some kind of arrangement which enables the box to sit on that diameter with a flange on the inside face to clamp it up, and the same on the other end. I haven't worked out the detail of it all, but it's all looking as if it's going to be rotating on that face, or something fixed onto that rotating on a separate spindle. that's where I'm at. Looking at my options for it's the box is too big to fit on my little lathe, so it's on the miller. I can't get it under the head, so the head's got to come off, and whatever cutter I use has got to be mounted into the horizontal spindle. The only boring head that I have is that, which is from memory I think it's a 2.5 inch across its face, on a straight shank, which from memory was, I think it's 3/4 of an inch or 19 mil. So I'd have to come up with some kind of bar to fit in to extend it out to give me my 165 diameter, and then I've got to come up with a way of basically putting the head through, winding it out, and then coming back in and just facing that inside face. I'll have to do it in a series of steps. It's a clamping face, so we shall see. So basically today's just about weighing up what my options are. So this is where we've got to on the setup. We've got the box mounted on its top face, so it's inverted. I've got it running square that way to the machined ways here, and I've set, you can't quite see them, but there's a pair of blocks in there, and then I've got another pair down this side, and then just a convoluted strap over the top. That's just what I had. It ain't great in terms of space. I'm right up against it, so my boring head is here, and I've literally got, I don't know, 1/2 inch between the edge of the tip of the boring piece when it goes in and the start of the cut, so it's tight, and I've got, I don't know, 4 inches of movement behind it. I've not got enough travel to bring the boring bar all the way through and do this one on the same setup, which is a pain in the arse, but it is what it is. So I've got to cut the other one, get that diameter cleaned up, and then measure this, because the hole is offset. So I'm going to leave the height position the same, and then when I turn the box round I'll have to move the table one way or the other to give me the same offset, which will be, I think it's that distance, which is the smallest one. Not ideal, but you make do. In terms of the tips for the boring head, I'm fairly limited, but what I've got are, I found some old carbide pieces. I need an internal and an external, i.e. one that's going to run that way round and then one that's going to run that way round. And that's basically what I've got, but that one's a little bit short, so I've got to come up with a method of holding that differently. So I need to make up a little spigot. And I've also got some 6mm diameter high speed steel, so if push comes to shove, when it comes to facing them out, I might just make a new little tip that goes in there with the backwards facing cutter. So I'll bring you back when I've got all the tips made up, and we'll have a look at cocking it up. We're just taking a test pass. You can hear the ovality. It's cutting in there and up there and a little bit here, so that wider section's not got touched yet. I was only just taking a few through. excuse the handheld, but it's a very tight. I'm tight for space all around this area, let alone the machining. Anyway, so I'll try and get things set up, but I'm going to take a deeper cut, increase the RPM, and see how we go. Not done any of this type of job before, so it's a bit educational. I'm hand feeding because I've not got a power feed on this axis, so you'll have to forgive it all if it all seems tediously slow. I'm also not sure on what the calibration is on the adjust for the boring head. I think it's in thou, in which case that was another 10 thou, so I'm going to try and give it 20 on this one. Well, it seemed to handle 20 thou. Well, again, I don't know whether that's 10 thou on radius or 20 thou on diameter or 20 thou on radius or whatever. I won't know that yet, but got a lot of cleaning up to do, so I'm going to give it a bit more than that this time. Go for 30. Sounds like it's trying to chatter.
it's going. It ain't fast, but I'm getting a suitable finish. There's a tiny bit of chatter, but nothing that's going to upset me for what it's doing. Just want to clean it up. Not really bothered about what the diameter ends up as long as it leaves me a bit of meat here and on the other end. So another couple of mil, 80 thou out. I'll bring you back when we're on a bit further progress. Still not cleaning up in this section, and a bit there. That's about 3/4 there. So we'll do another pass. I took 30 thou depth of cut on that one. Tiny little bit that's not cleaned up, which I think we can live with. Let's get your handheld for a second. So that's the bit that hasn't cleaned up, but we've got a ring. We have got a bit 360, so I'm reasonably happy that that'll do it. So the next job is to counterbore the inside face of the other end. Having gone through the motions of sticking the other tool bit in, I can't get the angle of cut I want, so I've modified a turning tool, turn the end down so that will fit in the shank of the boring bar holder, like that, and then that cutting edge can be rotated around the inside of the other side. So in there, it's a bit of a new one for me. I haven't got a facing head, or boring and facing head, so I'm going to set it to the set the overlap, take a few light cuts to a depth, then increase the diameter, bring it out, increase the diameter, do the same again, and just keep stepping it in like that. I've started machining out the face with doing 50 thou off, sorry, 100 thou off the diameter, but we're not actually taking the diameter, we're anyway, I don't know. I'm taking 100. It's 100 thou radial movement out. Sorry, 50 thou radial movement out, and feeding by hand. I'm going in. What is it? 40, 80 thou depth. Feeding it in slowly, and I'm just cleaning it up. I want to come out another 150 thou. Give me a decent sized lip to aim at. I'm not going to video it because it's a bit nerve-wracking and I'm struggling to hold everything in position. It's a bit slow, so the diameter of the rebate is increasing by 50 thou, so 25 thou a side, and I'm going in 80 thou. Probably got another, because that's the side wall that I can get up to, so I've probably got another 100 thou. So another 2 passes, and then I'm about out of clearance for the tool against this face, and for the bit that's going to go in the seat up to it. So I won't bore you with it all, but you get the general idea. Well, forgive the handheld, but it's the only way I can get you a decent shot. So that's near as damn it 10mm. It's probably nearer 3/8 and 10. I can't get an accurate measurement with it at the minute. There's a couple of areas it's not cleaned up. One's there, and the other one's there. Certainly not enough for me to worry about. There's a little tiny bit at the top edge. So that's going to give me a nice machined face to work something up to it as a clamping mechanism to hold it when it's rotated. So we've got to spin it round now and repeat the thing for this end. But yeah, quite happy with that. I'm just trying to get the hole centered up. This is the machined one. It's a bit of a pikey setup, but it's all I've got. So we got what, 4 there. You see that bloody dial? 4 there, and we swing it round to the other side. About the same there. I'm conscious that there's going to be a bit of droop on that piece of drill rod, but it's as even as I can get it all the way around. Bearing in mind that the front end of the support, which is what I'm machining now, isn't actually attached to the rear end, only via the box. Its height is set independently, and obviously the rotation will be set clamped separately. So I don't think the alignment of these 2 holes is critical anyway. And as I mentioned earlier, I haven't got the stroke to go all the way through from one side. So we have to do what we can do. Anyway, I think we're about set up to go and machine the other side. I'm going to try that again because it's not easy filming this one-handed. So I'm just trying to get the hole centered up at the other side. It's within half a thou left to right, and I haven't changed the height, and it's still sat on the same face.
So it's within half a thou over what, 10 inch, so it's good enough for me. So that's us finished, both bored out. No idea what the diameter is, it's just a clean up on the back, or the front as it will be on the machine. And then that rebate gives us about a 10mm face. It's actually a little bit deeper than perhaps I wanted. It was deceptive when I cleared the bore through. I then touched off and took a 2mm depth of cut, which was the same as this side, but I suspect that this bore is actually slightly, well, quite a bit bigger, whereas that one I kept it smaller. It's not 100% clean, but it's good enough. Blind man would be pleased to see it. The only thing I haven't got is a bloody boring piece with a 45 chamfer, so I can take the edges off there, and there. So it looks like I'll be dressing them by hand. Quite relieved. As I say at the start, this was something it's new to me, but you know, not broke anything. So had a couple of hairy moments. One where there's a thick section of wall there, and even though I'd come clear of this section by 2mm, adjusted the cutting bit out by another 50 thou, which is 25 thou on radius. Press go and it went round and went thump, and then the spindle spun and that bit rotated in the collet. So I've got to go and check what that's done. But it's got a 3-second wind up my mill and a 3-second wind down, so there's roughly 10 seconds of it doing something before it stops. Anyway, nothing went crunch, just a thump. Other than that, the harmonics were a bit irritating on the, I think the boring part, which is that, was pretty much out to its limit. It really wanted a fatter bar, something else for me to make up in the event that I decide to do more of this sort of thing. Dogs woke up. Right, time for a clean up and unclamp and have a look what it looks like. So measuring it up with my vernier calipers, I've got a 6.48 inch. My target was to be within 20 thou, 6.5 inch. So I've hit that. This doesn't matter because the mating part has got to be made yet. My main problem was I got no means of measuring it when I was machining it, because that's the only thing I've got that will measure over 6 inch, and I just physically couldn't get the thing into it without taking the tool out and messing about that way. So anyway, we've hit where we wanted to. The other side is, I think it was 40 thou less than that, 50 thou less than that. Again, not a key issue because it's the parts are going to be made to fit it, and they're not interchangeable at each end. What I haven't done is milled off the keyway. Gonna have a think about at what stage I do that. It's got to come off, but in the process of coming off, I want to also mill into it a new hole for a stub key at either end. My thoughts are that once this boss has been made and fitted on to the adapter plate, which will fit onto that, we're going to make up some new long studs and T-bolts and pick up on the existing 4 holes to clamp it for when it's just in horizontal mode. And then when I want to do any angled cuts, I take out those 4 bolts, loosen the clamp plate, and then slide the 2 keys out either way, rotate it to where I want, and tighten up the clamp plate that will sit inside here, and then set the front leg. So for all intents and purposes, the only thing that will change will be there'll be another a plate sandwich between this and the carriage, and then this keyway won't be there. Any comments? Chuck them down below. Always interested to hear what other people think, because I'm making it up as I go along.